But I want to sort of stimulate to hear some of the different ears. I've been playing this sonata, which is dedicated to Count von Waldstein, Beethoven, for many, many years. And as I was playing it, gradually developed sort of by itself, out of the sonata, a story began to arise. It seemed to speak for itself. And over the years, it's become more and more definite for me, or clear for me, that this is what he meant. And it's a story. You can take it as a kind of myth or fairy tale too. You know what myths are? They're like stories that they carry they may not be physically, factually true, but they're true in a deeper sense. They convey a truth about your inner life or your spiritual life or something. And you could have a story that using one imagery, or you can use different imagery, but conveying the same content. And that's the same with music. You might find different imagery, but the content is there. And I'm convinced that there is a story in this sonata. Some people may argue, well, it's just pure music, don't try and read something into it like that. But on the other hand, if you listen to this sonata, and you know something about music, there are parts in it which, in a way, don't make sense musically. They're not required musically by the sense of things. But then you begin to sense, well, maybe he's trying to convey something more than that. Either a process he's going through, or a process you can imagine going through. And I think that's what's happening here. So I'll try and convey this to you. I'll tell you the story and demonstrate some of the themes. Then I'll play the whole thing without stop. And you can pick them up as you pick up the story as it goes along. So let's listen to the first few bars, so you get an idea how it begins. I need a booster seat. Actually, Beethoven was famous for his rages. He was difficult sometimes socially to get along with, although he was a fine person. And I suspect there was a little bit of this in him. And probably a lot of you had something like that happen to you, where you fly off the handle, as it were. And this goes on and on. And you can sort of feel as if all the way through the sonata, he's got two things going on. There's this bass, which is sort of pounding in his blood, or you might say it's his will. It's just very strong, but not very easy to govern. That on one hand. On the other hand, there's these high parts where you feel more the spiritual part of you, trying to get on top of this. And they battle back and forth. Sometimes you hear the bass pushing up, and the top part will push it down again, and back and forth they go. And in fact, this goes on through the whole first movement, and I won't try and follow every detail in that. It's more in the latest part of the sonata that the detail of the story will come out. But